there, sports fans. It's the professor with a breakdown of some really bad baseball over the weekend. So let's get into it. Starting off with Indiana State. Indiana State University gets to take on Gonzaga, so an out-of-conference opponent that has had a pretty decent baseball program out on the West Coast. And it's a bit interesting that Missouri Valley Conference play hasn't started yet, but the Sycamores get to host their first series of the 2026 season this weekend against Gonzaga. Unfortunately, Gonzaga's a little too much for them. Indiana State's a little outclassed there when it comes to recruiting and just the talent base. So the West Coast athletes at Gonzaga end up blanking Indiana State, taking all 3 games in Terre Haute. Good for the city to have that promotion and be able to host a big name team in Terre Haute for the weekend, but unfortunately Sycamores can't hang and go 0 for 3, moving to a season record of 7-12. Not looking great with the non-conference games. Overall, we did get the series win against Penn State in the Bahamas, which is kind of the high point for the Sycamores. And they've continued to take the midweek games, but struggling when it comes to the weekend series against some of the stronger opponents. So they moved to 7-12. One bright point for the weekend, the 5-12 Evansville Aces do take on an out-of-conference Xavier in Cincinnati. So they go into Cincinnati and they actually take the series 2-1, moving them, unfortunately, in a season record of 5-12. So still pretty terrible record on the season and not a good record in the Missouri Valley Conference. But they do take a pretty big win of a series away from Xavier at Xavier. So that's kind of a good high point for them, hopefully, to build off of and maybe start to see a swing and change and lead that into the conference play. So we'll see what's happening. I'd kind of written those guys off with a 3-11 record going into this weekend for the year, but they continue to have these very interesting wins and series wins that kind of show that they can hang with some of the big name teams and get some victories there. So we'll see how conference play pans out for them. But I mean, if conference play ends up panning out for them pretty well, I could definitely see a Indiana State and Evansville being in the Missouri Valley Conference, playing well in the conference tourney. I could see one of them still ending up winning the conference and being invited to the postseason. So we'll keep an eye on that. IU, where do we go with IU? I mean, just an absolutely miserable season for the Hoosiers. Mercer just cannot do anything with this ball club. Continued errors, continued losses, two of the 3 losses this weekend come in walk-off fashion. Indiana taking on conference opponent Oregon out on the West Coast. And as I had said before earlier in the week, going out to the West Coast kind of already hampers whichever team is traveling. Oregon takes advantage of the Hoosiers, beats them pretty soundly in every game, and getting walked off on is not a good look. The closing part of the bullpen just can't get it done for the Hoosiers with the lead, and the losses continue to pile up. Indiana sitting also with a record of 7-12. So ISU and Indiana currently having the same record, but with Indiana, that's 2 series that they have dropped to conference opponents. So that's pretty squarely putting them in last place in the conference at the moment. Do not see a rebound or a turnaround for Indiana this year. They just continue to struggle. So we'll keep an eye on it, but not anticipating a lot from the Hoosiers based on the conference play that we've seen so far. Purdue does take its series against Maryland in West Lafayette. So Purdue ends up going 2-1 against Maryland, giving them a series win in conference and moving them to the top of the polls and standings for the Big Ten conference there. But Purdue's sitting with an overall record of 12-6. So right now, the best baseball team in the state with over 500 and 6 wins over 500. So that's a pretty decent record. And we're probably going to be seeing Purdue make a pretty lengthy run within the Big Ten Conference, possibly winning the championship, but I'm not going to put that on them just yet. Some of the opponents that they have won against haven't been really that great. They do have a win against a ranked win against Oregon State, but they dropped their other ranked win game that they had an opportunity for this year. So competition's looking very few and far between. No real middle ground right now in the Big Ten. Very heavy on top, very heavy on bottom. So very underperforming conference for Big Ten so far this year. One good highlight, though, for the state, Indiana Lady Hoosiers on the softball team continue to roll, moving to a season record of 21-6, and they take two of 3 against conference opponent Rutgers. So Lady Hoosiers come out on top with another conference series win and move to an overall record of 21-6. So again, they're rolling pretty well, very decent to listen to. So highly recommend that you probably supplant the listening to the IU baseball team until they start showing up, and go ahead and give the softball team a listen to. Looking at the Cubs. Cubs continue to drop games in the spring training, which has not been a surprise so far this season. The standout stat continues to be James Taillon. He is just, I cannot believe that he's looking at a position in the starting rotation. This is his 4th start for the Cubs in the spring training. He's the pitcher with the most starts right now on the rotation, and he's also one that's been looked at as being the 5-man for the starting rotation. James Taillon has given up another first inning with 4 runs, moving his ERA to over 20. He's got 22.36 ERA right now. I just cannot see the season starting with him as a starter. That's going to be a guaranteed loss when you're throwing a pitcher out there to start. Nothing this spring training has shown that he can start a game and hold any kind of lead. He continues to give up home runs. He continues to be weak against contact. He is just absolutely losing these games before the Cubs offense even has a chance to score and be competitive in these games. And if we continue that trend, I mean, you're going to be giving away every 5th game in the first inning before the starting lineup even gets a chance to bat. So I just don't know how the Cubs move forward with him as a starter. Maybe some bullpen time will help get his arm. But, I mean, honestly, at this point, his performances are at the point where I think the Cubs need to DFA him. I mean, I just don't understand how we will keep him on the roster moving into the season with as terrible of a spring training that he's had, which is kind of surprising because he was a bit of a workhorse here and there with some spot starts last season, as well as putting up some innings in the mid relief when he wasn't starting. So, I mean, even for depth, I think at this point I'd rather bring up one of our AAA starters into the rotation than allow James Taillon. He's an absolute liability for the Cubs at this point. And, I just don't, I can't, if I were Chris Counsell, I just don't understand how I'd even want to try to keep him on the starting 40-man roster. So we'll see what ends up happening with him. But the Cubs continue to drop games. I mean, he's lost every game this season that he's started. So, I don't know what to do with him. The good news is, though, the Cubs offense, at least the starters, are continuing to at least get one hit. So you go down the batting order. Michael Bush with batting over 250. Then we move down into some of the other position players. So Michael Bush at first base leading off. Then you look at Dansby Swanson continues to hit. Shortstop Carson Kelly continues to hit. Catcher Nico Horner continues to hit. Second baseman. Outfield Happ continues to struggle. He's had a couple more hits this season. His overall our batting average is still atrocious, just hovering just over 200. But he needs some definite work. One good news and then a bad news story for the Cubs. Moving into the World Baseball Classic. So Team USA advances because Italy beats Mexico. So I guess as a Team USA fan, that's a good thing. Pete Crow Armstrong continues to hit in those games, which is great. He continues to show off the defensive glove and his base running skills. So he's getting more out of World Baseball Classic than I thought he actually would. continuing to get those starts at center field from DeRosa. So that has helped him, and he's really gotten his spring training workout with Team USA and looks to be in starting season form, which is good because he had a very terrible start of the season. His first 4 games that he actually played for the Cubs in spring training, he was looking just absolutely miserable and clueless behind the plate. But that's picked up, so looking forward to seeing that continue going on into the season. And that is a good news story. The bad news story coming out of World Baseball Classic is Seiya Suzuki, who had been absolutely crushing the ball for Team Japan, comes up with an injured leg trying to steal second during the last Japan World Baseball Classic game, and has to be taken out of the game. Japan goes on to lose that game, the reigning champion. It goes on to lose, so they might be facing elimination at this point, and they're without one of their best hitters right now, Seiya Suzuki. That also impacts the Cubs because X-rays haven't come out and MRI and results haven't been published yet. But Seiya Suzuki was absolutely mashing for the Cubs when he started spring training. He left early for camp to report to Team Japan and was absolutely clobbering for Team Japan with like over 800, 900 OPS, as well as batting average over 350. And now he's injured, which means right field is going to be empty, and looking at a backup starter for the Cubs, which will most likely be Michael Conforto, based on the roster depth that we've been playing right now. Conforto's been hitting middle to slightly above average for the Cubs in spring training. He's continued to get a bunch of starts. So I foresee Conforto now moving into that right field starting position to start the season off. As we talk starting positions as well, Matthew Boyd has been named the starting pitcher for opening day. So on Team USA, he had a great beginning of the season. Last season, fell off quite a bit in the second half of the season and had struggled a little bit with the Cubs before he reported to Team USA. Had a very terrible first game where he pitched, giving up 5 runs in the first 3 innings, 2 innings and 2/3, and then had a pretty decent second start where he had 2 Ks and allowed no runs in his 2 2/3 start there. So kind of mixed results. 1 terrible game, 1 decent game. Reports to Team USA. He's been pitching well for Team USA. Council must like what he's been seeing out of Team USA and the reports from DeRosa, so he's going to get the ball on opening day. Hopefully we can come up with a win. The offense is looking like it is ready to start the season, but the weakness is going to be the Cubs pitching, the middle relief, and the final good news story, Daniel Palencia, going back to World Baseball Classic. Daniel Palencia makes a really big showing in World Baseball and blanks Shohei Ohtani, 4 at-bats for Shohei Ohtani, and he gets absolutely demolished by Daniel Palencia. Palencia has been named the starting closer, so a traditional closer for the Cubs, which we haven't gone to for quite a few seasons based on coaching strategy, coaching philosophy on having an actual named starter, but he's been named the actual closer for the Cubs, and he's showing that he can throw the ball, so I think that's a good decision by Council there, and he's definitely showed that he can take the best that the MLB has in reigning MVP Shohei Ohtani and putting him down during World Baseball Classic and making a show of it. So he actually got a standing ovation from the Japanese team and Japanese players for his last outing against Team Japan. That is going to be all of the updates for today. As always, we're brought to you by Game Day Men's Health Bloomington. And if you like this content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, share, and join Buzz Sports Media on YouTube and other social medias. But if you like this content, there's some other content providers that can help on football, upcoming football, current college basketball, and mixed martial arts. As always, that's going to be it for today from the professor, and go Hoosiers.